In this video, I'm going to deep dive very quickly into finding the best coffee liqueur to make your favourite espresso martini. I've got 6 here to play with. So if you want to know my opinions, what is the best coffee liqueur and how they're different, stay tuned. Right then, this is the video that I've been looking forward to. This is part 3 of my little Espresso Martini mini series. In part 1, I showed you how to make it very, very simple. In part 2, how do you make an espresso martini without an espresso machine? And in part 3, this is the one. I'm going to quickly deep dive into the various different coffee liqueurs that go into an espresso martini. Now, for the age of time, it's been Kahlua. Kahlua even says it on the back of the bottle. That's kind of its big selling point. It's all about the espresso martini. But there are other players on the market. Are they better? Who knows? Let's find out. Right then, contender number 1, as I've just said, Kahlua, pretty much the industry standard. It used to be the lesser known coffee liqueur. Tia Marie used to absolutely slam it in the late 90s, early 2000s, but ever since then, Tia Marie is relatively unheard of. Kahlua have just come through. It's a 20%er, quite sweet, big bold coffee notes coming through. There's no denying that that is a really out in your face coffee liqueur. Say just a bit of sweetness. If you're making espresso martinis with that, I don't think you need any sugar. Now the second one we're going for, I've just mentioned it, Tia Maria. This used to be the one. This used to be out, every single bar would have this. Now for like last 5 years or so at least, it's just kind of really disappeared. It's always big sellers in the supermarkets, what it goes for, but pubs and bars really don't have it. Again, it's a 20%er, so straight away we can see, if we're comparing, a lot lighter in colour, a lot more less viscous. It's a posh word for you. A lot more runny than Kahlua. Not as sweet. If you're drinking it neat, for me, Tia Maria is actually a damn sight better neat than Kahlua is. Got a very, very subtle, I don't think there is, but a very, very subtle citrus edge to that. But that is lovely. For me, Tia Maria is actually better, neat. Right then, so the third contender. Well, we're going for XO Patron Cafe Patron. It's obviously, if you've never seen or heard of this before, XO Patron is a tequila brand, Mexican tequila brand. Arguably, the XO Cafe, or the Patron XO. Sorry, Patron is the tequila brand. XO Cafe is the coffee brand. Arguably, this is Patron's biggest seller in the UK. Patron in sort of stateside, in Americas, North and South, is probably one of your go-to kind of tequila brands. As a coffee liqueur though, it's a 35... Yeah, I've got that right. So 35%. Bearing in mind, those two are 20%ers. 35% and a lot more expensive. When you're talking anything between 12 and 14, 15 pounds a bottle there, you're talking bare minimum 25 pounds a bottle for XO Patron. I've actually seen it up in the 30s. I don't get too much tequila. Big bold coffee notes on there, but look at the colour of that compared to Tia Maria, and then look at it compared to Kahlua. So it's a jet black coffee liqueur. Taste wise, well, on the nose, I'm not a huge tequila fan. On the nose, the tequila sort of came through just as I hit my nose. It's definitely not a neat sipping coffee liqueur in comparison to Tia Maria. I'd say it's actually quite a lot sweeter than Kahlua. The coffee is there, but it's got that sweetness that goes with it. In the UK, it has been sold as a shot. I'm not sure about the rest of the world. Not overly convinced by that. Right then, the fourth brand, I get very excited about this. Mr Black. This is an Australian coffee liqueur, quite expensive. Again, 30-ish pounds a bottle. It's kind of cold brew. So cold brew is basically water that's been steeped, macerated in the coffee beans. Wow, big, bold, pungent. That's probably the most coffee pronounced out of all of them so far. Again, quite deep in colour. Wow, this is the most like coffee out of the 4 that I've tried so far. This is just like an alcoholic coffee. These, you can tell liqueur, the sweetness has been added to them. This is not. It's just like drinking a shot of espresso, an alcoholic shot of espresso. Again, quite happily drink that neat because it hasn't got that sweetness to it. That is lovely. Right then, the next contender coming up is Conker. Again, it's another cold brew coffee liqueur. Dorset's brand. They've won lots of awards with this. I put this without actually tasting it. I've had this, you can tell I've had quite a bit of this. But without actually tasting it side by side, I would put this more in the Mr Black category than these guys. Nice jet black. It's a 25%er, so Mr Black was 30. 25 as well. So kind of similar on ABV. Wow. Now that is really nice. I would say Mr Black is easier to drink neat. That for me is perhaps a bit too, it's going to sound really bizarre, but a bit too coffee in your face. It's almost a little bit of citrus going on with that one as well. The last contender we've got, I thought I'd go for a bit of a fun one as well. This is Aber, and this is actually coffee and dark chocolate liqueur. Or chocolate coming off that. Bit thinner. This is going down more the Tia Maria route of thickness. Oh, that is lovely to drink neat, that is. Wow. So you've got two different schools here. You've got the out and out coffee. If you love your coffee, then these two guys are amazing. They're just like alcoholic coffee. These guys, I'm going to ignore. I wasn't a huge fan of Patron actually. These guys have just got a little bit of sugar added to them to make them drinks in their own right that you could possibly sip neat. Right then, so we've tasted all liqueurs neat. I have to say, for completely polar different reasons, those two were actually my favourite, Tia Maria and Mr Black. How do all these stack up? We've done equal amounts of coffee and vodka in this, just plain vodka. So how do we go? So the standard, traditional, and I haven't shaken them, I've just poured them over ice, given them a stir. This makes a lovely espresso martini. It's just got that, you don't need to add sugar to it, it's just got that balance. Really do like that, you know. That's kind of the benchmark. Where do we go from here? This is Tia Maria. See, that's interesting. It hasn't got the coffee bodiness that the Kahlua's got with that just a little bit of extra sugar. Patron, probably my least favourite neat out of all of these. No. It's just got that weird, I don't know whether it's the tequila coming through or the sweetness that makes it just doesn't really work for me. I'm not a fan of that at all. Right, Mr Black. Looking forward to this one. Wow. I'll come back to that in a second. Let's go on to Conker. Oh, that's very similar to that, actually. Just edged it, Mr Black. I'll tell you why in a second. And the final one, Aber, hasn't quite got the body. Lovely drink, but hasn't quite got the body. Right. Here we go. For me, now I have got a little bit of a sweet tooth, but I don't need a bit of sugar. I don't drink sugar in my coffee or tea or anything like that, so I don't need that extra sugar. Oh, this is so close, so close. I absolutely love the Mr Black, but it is just an unsweetened. I really don't know how to split those two, because that has got the extra little touch of sweetness that just creates an all-round amazing drink. But the Mr Black, for those of you less sweet tooth than me, you are going to absolutely love Mr Black. I potentially might just need a very, very small touch of sugar in there. And I mean tiny amount of sugar. For pure out-and-out coffee flavour, amazing. Mr Black, absolutely amazing. But all-round finished drink, I'm potentially going Kahlua. Really insightful actually. So they are my top picks. Nothing against Tia Maria. I just think it hasn't got the body. I'm really not rating Patron at all. If anyone wants a bottle of XO Cafe, hit me up, because I'll get rid of it on hen parties, but apart from that, yeah. And I just think the Aber, while it is lovely, it just lacks a little bit of body for me. for an espresso martini. So, wow, that's been quite insightful. Hope you enjoyed that. I am not doing it in this filming session, but I will add some espresso martini variations to this playlist as well.